welcome to the Miami Heat Zone podcast. I'm your host, Martel Llewellyn. We're pushing to 5,000 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button, and thank you for all the support. So today we have Amir from Team to Beat Miami Heat for another episode of the Miami Heat Chronicles. Today we're going to be talking about the Miami Heat's rotation. I see a lot of people, they're saying that Jovic should be the point guard. They're saying that Haywood Highsmith should be starting. They're saying that Khalil Ware should be starting. But then also, too, who's really going to come off the bench? Because we all know that Eric Spoelstra is not playing all 15 guys. So you could potentially have Tyler off the bench, Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, Haywood Highsmith, and the list goes on. So Amir, what is your ideal rotation for this upcoming season for the Miami Heat?
Yeah, ideally, again, I wouldn't start. We talked about this before. What I would want versus what I think is going to happen, but what I would want is Tyler to come off the bench, and I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think I'd prefer Tyler off the bench because his most successful season was when he was a sixth man coming off the bench, averaging almost 21 points per game, running our second unit and playing against second units, which he's more effective. We saw what he does against top defenders like a Derek White, a Drew Holiday against Boston and other teams. He doesn't do well against size and athleticism and top tier players. So I think ideally I would have Terry probably at the point guard starting. Jimmy, obviously, Bam. I would probably keep Nikola in there. Again, depending on his health, we know he has an ankle issue, and there's been conflicting reports whether it's a fracture or just a sprain. But I'd still keep him in there for continuity and for development. And then at shooting guard, that's the issue right there. Is it going to be Duncan Robinson? Or is it going to be Haywood Highsmith? Perhaps people have been mentioning Haywood Highsmith, but I don't think he plays like a shooting guard. He's just going to essentially stand in the corner. So I would say Duncan. So Terry, Duncan, Jimmy, Bam, and Jovic, I would say would be in the starting lineup. So then in terms of the rotation coming off the bench immediately, Tyler would be the ideal sixth man. And then of course, if Duncan's going to be playing, then Jay Rich needs to come in as the shooting guard next to Tyler. So we don't have a true point guard. And Tyler, we've tested that experiment, him as point guard. That's not great, but still, we play kind of positionless basketball on this Miami Heat team in small ball. So it doesn't really matter. So I think you need Jay Rich in there for defensive purposes. Then Jaime would be the eighth man, obviously coming in for Jimmy Butler. And then you would have Haywood, since I mentioned Haywood would not start, right? So you would have Haywood in there again. Um, and then I guess starting off, I would assume it's going to be Kevin Love or Khalil Ware. Like, I don't know what Spo's going to do. Um, just based on the hype of what we've seen Khalil do in three of these summer league games, I'm going to hope that he gets and he's earning time off the bench immediately and comes in first. So I'm going to say Khalil would be that 10th person. Um, we know Kevin Love's going to play. Obviously, he's our veteran, but he's not going to play more than 10 to 12 minutes per game. He wasn't playing more than that last season. So, if we're focusing on 10, which I'm assuming that's what typically Spo wants to play is 10-man rotation in the regular season, pending injuries, right? So that's the 10 that I have. But if there's injuries or if Khalil is not ready, then I would put Love in there. And then you have Alec Burks, you have Pallel Larson still. I don't think Thomas Bryant's going to play unless there are injuries. I don't know. What are your thoughts, man? There's we have depth. We actually do have depth, and also I didn't even mention the two-way players right now. Those are just the main contracts. So there is going to be a Drew Smith that could be inserted in there as our backup point guard. There could be a Kashad Johnson who comes in as well. And again, Pallel, second round draft pick. Like, is he going to crack the rotation over Burks, over Jay Rich? I don't know, man. We do have a lot of depth. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we have a lot of depth, but it's like we just need to put the right combination of guys, and this is why health is so important because if we can really never see what all these guys look like together, how can we build the continuity to actually move forward with this Miami Heat roster? Don't get me wrong, I don't think we have one of the best paper teams, but I do still think that we compete. I just think it comes down to matchups. I think it comes down to who's ready and who Spo puts on the floor together.
Yep. What's your ideal five? Has that shifted? And who are your five coming off the bench after that? We don't need to get into the depths of like past the 10-man rotation, but
The only thing that I think I would really change is see if Khalil Ware is ready by the time the regular season comes up. I mean, we still have a few more months of ball. I'm sure that he could probably put on a little bit more size. Is it feasible? Maybe. I mean, we might honestly just run it back with Bam at the 5 and Jovic at the 4. But I kind of want to see some type of a shakeup. I know that we really haven't seen Tyler and Terry together that much. So I honestly think they're going to revisit that. But once again, I need Eric Spoelstra to figure out a way, and this starting 5, to figure out a way how Jimmy, Bam, Tyler, and Terry can work it out on the court. Because, yes, they all average 20, but I want to see that on the box score. I don't want to see us only at 90 points. I want to see an efficient offense. I don't want to see an offense where we're breaking the ball, we're clanking the ball, it's stagnant. I want to see a well-functioning offense. I think that's one of the biggest things. No matter who's out there, this offense needs to change. I know it's not the most elite offensive talent that we have, but we've been together way too long for it to look like this.
Yeah, I don't see them not starting the last starting 5 that we had with Terry, Tyler, Jimmy, Jovic, and Bam. I think Jovic will be fine by the time of training camp, right? Even if he might not play in the FIBA tournament, the Olympics, which would suck because that would be good reps, obviously, for him. But I assume that starting 5, they're going to revisit that because it was premature because of obviously all the injuries with Tyler being out, with Jovic being out and other players, Jimmy being out. So I could see them testing that. And if that's the case, then the next 5, then if Tyler's not going to be coming off the bench, I think it is simple that it's going to be Duncan, it's going to be Jay Rich, it's going to be Kalel Ware, I would hope, over Kevin Love, and then it's going to be Hawkes and Haywood, right? So that's like your 10 that you're going in with, and then when inevitably we're going to have injuries, that's where you then have Kevin Love coming into the rotation. That's where you have maybe a Palel Larson coming in for a Duncan or Jay Rich who's injured. That's where you can maybe test out a Kashad if Jaime's hurt or if Haywood's hurt, right? So we do have options, but none of those options really off the bench are offensively gifted enough, except for maybe a Jaime who could possibly take that leap. But offense is going to be the issue, I think. But if we are healthy, though, on paper, it's not a bad roster. It's not a bad rotation. We'll see. But everything has to go right, as we've mentioned, in order for this team to avoid the play-in again, is that we need people to grow. So Jaime needs to step up. Jovic needs to step up. Tyler needs to step up. Jimmy needs to be engaged, not load manage. Bam could be Bam. And then we need to be healthy, right? And that could potentially help us avoid the play-in possibly. But a lot has to go right.
That, and I really want to see Tyler ball, man. I mean, last year, right before he got hurt in Memphis, he was starting to be on a good track. I want to see a Tyler Hero because this might be the last run, especially if Jimmy Butler doesn't re-sign. This could be the last run with this group together. I know that it's kind of tiring with this group over and over and over again, but one player that I'm really looking forward to seeing is Tyler. I mean, we're all waiting for it. I don't really know how long we can really wait for it anymore. I think that Jaime is going to have a very big season along with Jovic, only from the flashes that they've shown. I think that Terry's going to come out strong because he has a lot to prove. But other than that, like I said, I really want to see what is Tyler Hero going to bring. Is he going to add something else to his game, get to the free throw line, draw some more fouls? Like, what else is he going to show? Because this Miami Heat team needs him. Stephen A. Smith said it best. You have Jimmy and Bam. Tyler's not supposed to necessarily be this elite scorer, but why is he not even coming close to helping this Miami Heat team in terms of the scoring problem? But guys, let us know, what is your starting lineup? Who's coming off the bench for you guys? Like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you guys go to Amir's channel, hit that subscribe button, and get him to 2,000 subscribers. And thank you for all the support.